Here's your host, Alex Garrett.
All right, well, it's kind of interesting here on the Alex Garrett Podcast Network. You guys keep listening, and I am so appreciative of that. I love that. Thank you so much, and it means a lot. Every download. We're almost at 42,000 downloads all time, which means an average of 4.2K, 4,200 listens a year, which is quite an average if you ask me, considering that I didn't know if anybody would listen to this when I first started 10 years ago. I'm out of breath because I'm so excited, right? So, a couple of developments. I forgot my password on my Alex G Podcast X handle, and so I created a new one. And so you can follow it at One Leg Up Alex. That's One Leg Up Alex. And I just think that's such a fitting username. I should have said One Leg Up with Alex, but that's fine. One Leg Up Alex. And thanks to our boy Nathan, who you've heard from before on the show, he created a great hashtag idea. Just say hashtag One Leg Up Alex. So there you go. That's the new hashtag of this podcast. Hashtag One Leg Up Alex. Thanks for listening to that, by the way. Also, if you feel so kind and want to support this, now you can actually tip the podcast through my X accounts, AlexGNYC1 and One Leg Up Alex, through my Venmo. You just hit the little icon that says tips, and boom, you're supporting the Alex Garrett Podcast Network and this journey in the podcast world. And I'd appreciate it if you're able to and if you wanted to. Now, finally today, amidst all this excitement, I have to say, what I found on Friday night was so exciting because Lloyd Austin, the defense secretary, named names in this plea deal agreement fiasco. I came to the other day saying, remember how we made a plea deal with terrorists, the masterminds of 9/11? Well, the other night, late Friday, it was breaking that that was going to be reversed. And in this letter from Lloyd Austin to the public, and specifically to one Susan Escallier, Escallier, the convening authority for military commissions, he wrote to her, I have determined that in light of the significance of the decision to enter into pretrial agreements with the accused in the above referenced case, authority to enter pretrial agreements in the United States versus Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, et al., United States versus Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, United States versus Walid Muhammad Salih, the list goes on. Responsibility for such a decision should rest with me as the superior convening authority under the Military Commissions Act of 2009, 15 years ago. Effective immediately, I hereby withdraw your authority in the above referenced case to enter into a pretrial agreement and reserve such authority to myself. I hereby withdraw from the pretrial agreements that you signed on July 31st, 2024 in the above reference case. So this was not just released to her, Susan Escallier. This was released to the public. But now that we know who was behind the plea deal agreements, here on the Alex Garrett Podcast Network, to have one leg up in the Defense Department, you know what we got to do next? We have to call for the resignation and maybe even the firing of Susan Escallier, this convening authority for military commissions. Who is she to make a deal like this without maybe even consulting the Department of Defense Secretary, Lloyd Austin? For a guy who has gone AWOL before because of hospitalizations, he should have just told the president, by the way, he finally stepped up here. That is a big deal. And this reversal should be broadcast everywhere. But now we should take it a step further. Whoever agreed to pretrial agreement and made the agreement on behalf of the military should be fired. And I don't like calling for people's heads, but lately, I've been seeing it. I've been seeing the need. We had to call out the resignation or firing of Kimberly Cheadle. Now we should call out the firing or resignation of Susan Escallier. Who is she? Well, I'm going to take a look at the bio real fast for you. Because this name is now synonymous with the plea deal. And of course, ACL, you reach out. She basically is, if I look at this, is in charge of the Guantanamo Military Commission's convening authority. She's a retired Brigadier General Susan Escallier. And here's the deal. She was commissioned in the U.S. Army Signal Corps upon graduation from the University of California. So she's got military background. She was recently the Assistant Judge Advocate General for Military Law and Operations, including Trial Counsel, the 505th Parachute Infantry, and she has been on the legal side in the military. She was in the Coalition Humanitarian Assistance Provisional Authority in the Iraq War. She was Senior Operational Law Observer and Trainer for the Battle Command Training Program, Deputy Staff Judge Advocate, 1st Infantry Division, Legal Advisor to the Security Agreement Secretariat, Military Judge, the Division in the Army. So she's decorated. And being in the military, you wonder why she would dare enter a plea deal with these terrorists. She's fought against in the military, it seems like. And so, Brigadier Escallier, this is embarrassing for you. And I hope, maybe, and you're decorated, this kind of idea of entering a plea deal with terrorists warrants your resignation. Thank you for your service, but now this is too much. Especially for the all-Americans, for the families of 9/11 victims, for the 9/11 victims, for what we went through on September 11, 2001. This is too much. You might think because you're decorated, and as President Trump has said, in your air-conditioned offices, right? He said that before. To make all these decisions in your air-conditioned offices. But look what it's done. It's ripped open another wound that the Biden administration already ripped open in 2021 with the failed evacuation of Afghanistan, withdrawal from Afghanistan. The hits do just keep on coming. And Secretary Austin, you appointed her. Now you can also fire her in addition to overriding her, because we don't want somebody in there that's going to be doing plea deals. I don't care if they're decorated or not. Titles don't matter in the sense of decision making. You are the most decorated military person, but you give plea deals to terrorists? You shouldn't have a job the next day. This has to go over and beyond withdrawal of the plea deal. There has to be more consequences, Secretary Austin. So take that next step. Ask her to resign. Appoint someone who's not going to do this kind of nonsense and straighten out your department. Or this withdrawal will be just a show because the person who made it will still be there. Don't make it a show. Make it real. Make this a real withdrawal of a plea deal with terrorists by firing or asking, forcing Brigadier Susan Escallier to step aside. That is a dishonorable discharge if I ever saw one. Have a great day on the Alex Garrett Podcast Network. Again, find me at One Leg Up Alex on Instagram and X, as well as Alex G NYC1. Thanks so much.